WTF, we're doing a podcast. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Michelle. This is 50. Welcome to What the 50. Join us on our continued journey to simplify our lives.
We will seek the answers from the experts and offer tips, tools, and techniques to live your life with confidence and joy. Are we ready?
Let's go!
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Nikki.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Here we are, back
Yes,
again.
back again. It feels like a long time though, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Because it's been a little while.
A few months at least, and I've been traveling.
You've been
all
super busy.
over.
That's probably why it feels longer for me, because I've been here, not as busy as you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I just miss you.
No.
So what have you been up to?
So as you know, I've been traveling. I can't even remember where we had a wedding in the family, so
Right.
everybody was here.
Right.
Then I went to Cayman. Then I went to I went to Trinidad, Barbados, and Cayman in between, and Canada.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So you have to come back down.
Yeah. Well, actually, in a couple weeks, I will also be traveling for Max's graduation.
I can't believe that Max is graduating already.
And I have to tell you that I had a breakdown over this.
Why? Why?
Okay, so you know the whole empty nesting thing is fine. When they're going off
Bird
to
launching,
college,
empty nesting.
it's fine because, they're coming home in the summertime, they're coming home at Christmas, they're coming home whenever. But now it just kind of hit me that, Max has decided that he's going to stay in British Columbia and look for a job there for, a bit. I'm not sure. He doesn't know if he's going to stay there forever. I'm not even sure if he's ever going to come home. Don't let me cry now.
But he will, though. That's the thing.
I know.
Home is always home. And Max is going to want to come home to go to the beach, to get some Jamaican food. He will come home.
I know,
but maybe not as often.
But the thing is, the reality of he's not coming.
This is it now.
Right. And I'm even thinking, even if he comes back home to live, will he be living with us? Will he be living in his room? What's the dynamic
it's a whole nother phase that we really can't prepare for as much as we think we can.
Right.
Because for years we think, okay, Max is going to go to university, he's going to graduate, he's going to get a job, blah, blah, blah. We look at that trajectory. But when it's actually happening, it's a whole nother thing. Because emotions get involved.
And don't get me wrong, like, as we say, I've raised my children for this. And I definitely don't want him to come back home to look for a job here or whatever. He definitely needs to
be there.
Yes. At least for a while.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But still, it's...
No, listen, if you didn't get emotional about that, I'd probably check if you're having a fever because it's normal, it's natural. I'm not quite there yet. There's a little part of me that hopes that JP will probably come back, even though I would prefer if he stays in LA a year or two just to explore, right? Or wherever he wants to be. But it's easy for us to talk about it. It's a whole nother thing when it's actually happening. And graduation usually signals the end of
an era
and the start of another.
Right.
And that's what's happening to you.
And of course, the big joke is that I don't know if I've mentioned this to you before, that his father has told him that it was a big negotiation with our family, that he would only pay for him for, what was it? It was 1 month of his rent. I think his father said
you mean post-graduation?
Right.
Okay.
And I said 3 months. I think that we've agreed on 2 months or 3 months. I don't even know. Maybe I'm making poor Trevor
I'm voting for 3 months.
Yeah, poor guy, eh?
3 months. So he gets a job, he gets settled, he gets,
Right.
Yeah, I'm voting for 3 months.
Yeah. And another thing that's been hard for me too, on that whole travel thing, that I always have a trip booked on the books, and I have not been able to.
Because you've just been going?
No, because I can't book it for 4. So it's
yes.
It's like, and I feel
another reality check.
Yes.
And
do I book it for 4 and see if they come?
Did I book it for 2? I don't really want to.
Right.
Yeah. I got it. Another reality check.
Yeah.
Ooh, gosh, that's a whole episode right there. What you think?
I know. But anyhow, it's like I don't know about you, but I've been going to a lot of weddings too.
I haven't been to any.
And so it's like, you remember when you had just gotten married? Well, next year is your 30th wedding anniversary.
We just celebrated our 29.
Right. So remember when you first got married? And it was like a whole new thing, just you and Chris. And you know, you had your whole life ahead of you. Now here we are, back again, just the two of us. But this time we only have, how many years, Mish?
According to Niki, we have 30 years.
A good 30 years.
A good 30 years. Oh.
In fact, I remember being on a trip with my parents when we had just gotten married. We went on a trip to China with my parents on a cruise. And I remember this older couple saying to Trevor and I, almost jealously, oh, you guys have a whole lifetime ahead of you.
Right.
And I felt like, oh, you know, but now I know exactly how they feel.
But the lifetime went fast away, don't you think?
Well, but the lifetime is not over yet.
It's not, but I'm just saying that you're at that point where we're thinking about aging. You weren't thinking about that when you're on that.
Well, I think that we have no choice but to think, because everything I fall down. So tell me about you now.
Well, while you're away, I just got this. I mean, menopause has been a part of my life for a number of years, right? So I got the hot flashes, the night sweats, blah, blah, blah. But
again, I thought we were over that.
They came back full force.
Peace.
But
is it just because it's hot? No, I'm just joking.
It probably is. That probably the weather outside contributes to it too. But the last couple of weeks, I've just been in this down feeling. I just feel like Debbie Downer for just like 2-3 weeks. I'm like, what's going on? And I went to my doctor, my GP, and she says, okay, let's do some hormone checks to look at the levels. So I'm waiting on the results for that. But I said, I can't stay in this state. I cannot. I just didn't want to move. I didn't want to go anywhere. And I said, let me start my vitamin D again. Because you don't have with the supplements, right? You take them, feel better, and then you stop.
Not everybody's like that, Michelle, but just you and I.
Right.
We're not good for each other when that comes.
So I said, let me start back with my vitamin D, and that I don't know if it's mind over matter, but it's helping, I think. I feel better than I did. And I've really stepped up the exercising as well.
Yes, you have. I'm so proud of you.
In our first episode. But I'm just trying to find ways to feel better, because this thing is not going to beat me. Because I'm not into this old woman.
And we have
business.
A good 30 years.
And according to Niki, we have a good 30 years. So.
And you know what happened, Mish, is that you took action towards helping yourself.
Absolutely.
And that is the first mindset shift that we have to do. It's like, we can't just give up.
No. I refuse to. And plus, I'm just not accustomed to feeling like that. And I didn't want to continue feeling like that. I mean, I would say to Zach, gosh, I just feel so rotten today. I'd verbalize it because it was so heavy.
Yeah.
So I say to him, listen, if I'm a little snappy, just forgive me. I even showed him a video on menopause, a reel that I found on menopause.
Poor
like
Zach.
That's what I'm going through. But I just had to do something,
right?
And thankfully I feel a whole lot better. Still trying to figure it out, right?
Of course. Well,
but it's a lot better.
It's a working process.
Yes, because what works today doesn't necessarily work tomorrow. Because something else will happen that will put you in a zone.
For me, sleeping is an adventure.
And that's another thing. I beat that.
No, I can sleep, no problem. But when I wake up, my neck stiff, my back is hurting me, something. So I'm like working with the different pillows, and then the heat.
Right, so that's what I'm telling you now.
Sheets on.
Absolutely, and you stick your toe out. But that's what I mastered that, because during that time I was really struggling with the heat at night as well. The AC's on, the fan is on. And this is after telling Chris 2 weeks before, I can't sleep with the fan and the AC. I have to choose.
Poor Chris.
So we're now back to the AC and the fan, but I was still hot. But I realized,
that woman.
I know, right? But I realized now I had to change the comforter.
Okay.
So I just give Chris one comforter, and I have a lighter comforter.
Okay.
That's cotton, 100% cotton, so it feels better, and that has helped.
Right.
So, ladies who are listening to us, You just have to find
what works. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I get cold, I get hot,
No,
I get
hot
this
too.
and
I just wasn't sleeping through the night.
Oh yeah.
I just wasn't. So every time I got the hot flash, I'd wake up and throw off the comforter, and then I was going to the bathroom. I'm like, what's happening here? But thankfully, in the last 2 weeks, I've settled down and doing a lot better. Okay. But when you don't sleep at night, it's just horrible. You don't get your full sleep. But friends have reached out to me, saying just that they're struggling with sleep.
Yeah.
So it's not something that, it's not just us, right?
Yes.
But it's just not comfortable at all. But you just have to find a solution. And I think I found a solution for me for now.
Right. But maybe we need to have a whole episode just on sleep. Truthfully, like, you have done your sleep routine and
that's
for your
short.
The
whole thing that I told you about in the last season. I have my sleep hygiene. Oh, that's changed. I like to adjust it.
Well, if there's nothing about us, is that we're very real. Yeah,
we're trying, and it's just life at this stage. The good thing about being 50 over 50 though, we can just laugh at ourselves because it's just not going to be perfect. It's not perfect, and we don't want it to be perfect. We've gone past that. We've gone past trying to make it perfect, and this is what it is.
You know what? And I was thinking about it. Like, honestly, I feel better in my 50s emotionally, mentally. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's because I've gone through my own personal journey of growth, but like my 40s was a shit show. No, honestly, I remember my emotions going all over the place, like I had no control over them or anything,
I think for me it's that when I was younger, I think I tried to just ignore certain emotions, but I think as I got older, I'm like, hell, this is who I am. This is what I'm going through. I'm happy for this. I'm not so happy about that. I'm going to do something to fix that.
Right.
So I think I'm just more mindful, just more purposeful, more intentional.
Of course.
Not just going through the motions. You know?
And then also in the 40s too, maybe what we were going through is
perimenopause.
Perimenopause,
possibly.
Like you were either like bleeding forever or thinking you were pregnant.
Well,
seriously.
Yeah, I had that. It was horrible, and that was stressful in and of itself.
Exactly, and you're not sure what's happening.
But do you
to
know
your
though?
body,
But do you know though, which we can talk about in another episode, is we never had these conversations.
No,
our GP didn't talk about it. Our gynecologist didn't talk about it. I don't think we spoke about it among ourselves because we just didn't know what was going on.
And maybe we were embarrassed too. Like, were we embarrassed and think, "Oh my God, I'm not old enough to be going through menopause"?
You know what? I actually wasn't embarrassed about it.
know.
I just didn't know what was going on, and I was just always. And I talk about the bleeding. I had that, and I was like, "What's going on? I have to walk with extra clothes all the time. If I go to karting with Zach, I make sure I have a pair of shorts, blah blah blah, just in case." And it was stressful because I didn't know.
Yes.
I didn't understand. It didn't even occur to me to say to my doctor, this is happening. And if I went for my regular annual and I said, this is what's happening, it was like, there really wasn't a plan.
Right.
So maybe it was perimenopause.
Yes.
We just didn't know.
And here we are now. But anyhow, full blown. So in our next 30 years that we have, 30 good years that we're going to make them good, right?
Yes.
So I had spoken to Michelle about this Netflix documentary I saw about the blue zones. I said, Michelle, we have to do this because there are these blue zones in the world. You can see it on Netflix where there's people that live over 100. And for different reasons, and we'll go through all the different reasons. And there are like places in Okinawa, Sardinia, Italy, a place in Greece,
Costa Rica,
and
believe it or not, California.
Oh, Loma Linda, California, right?
That was a surprise.
So Michelle and I are saying, okay, we're clearly not moving to Loma Linda, California, so we have to make our own blue zones right here in Jamaica, right? Because what you had said that you had found out was because it's more environmental.
Yes, as opposed to looking at your genes. So you can create your own blue zone. And I mean, if you really think about it, when we get into more details, when you look at the different pillars that Dan Buettner has chosen to, when he looked at what was familiar in each, what were the common denominators, we can create that for ourselves.
Of course.
So we need to talk about who is Dan. Who is this guy who just jumped up and said, there are these blue zones, right?
Yeah.
Where did he come from, and what gives him that authority to name these places blue zones? So we did some research, and he is a 63-year-old. He's an explorer. His bio is long.
And he has an Instagram page too.
Yeah, so you can look him up, and he's all over YouTube. But he's an explorer, an educator, an author. He has a New York best-selling book. But most importantly, National Geographic, he is part of that, and he has done a lot of research. He backs up what he says with data.
Okay.
And he gets data from the U.S. National Institute on Aging, right? So
I didn't even know there was a National Institute
on Aging, yeah.
Okay.
So he traveled around the world, and he was actually bicycling at some point. I think he's part of the Guinness World Book of Records for bicycling. I think maybe the longest. I don't know. Don't quote me on that one, but there's something there with that. Anyway, so he's an explorer in his heart, and he has just gone to these various areas trying to figure out why are these people living to 100 years old and over. And I think it's quite exciting what he has discovered.
Right. And it's nothing difficult, right?
And it's nothing difficult.
Right.
It's nothing that's difficult.
It's just the choices you make.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I think based on our research, what I think resonates with us really is keeping it as simple as possible.
Because the brain can't take too much
at this stage. But he just really breaks it down to the simplest form.
Right.
I mean, he actually in some of his talks, he actually uses the word peasant.
Okay.
So he says, the type of food that we eat, the interaction is literally and I'm just using his word. Mm-hmm. It's at the peasant level.
Okay, because you don't have to eat so much.
No, literally the basic stuff, the ground provisions or the peas and beans. It's not anything fancy, nothing expensive. Even when we're going to talk about movement,
right?
It's not doing anything extravagant at a gym or whatever.
Right. It's just
and again,
simple.
It's just simple.
Right.
He really just emphasizes the simplicity of it in your environment.
Well, my father would always tell us about when they were growing up, how simply they ate. It was just like the rice, the vegetable, and maybe they'd have something called like a corn egg. A duck corn egg. They would chop it up into small pieces and share that, which actually we did as a young when I was younger too. But the meats were very small, like not a whole lot of meats. Like what we're not
eating now,
right? And that's why I try to think when I'm eating now, like we don't need to have 6 chicken.
No, we don't.
Just a little bit of meat and more veg,
more vegetables, more peas. We'll get back into that when we get into the diet and the clean living. But I mean, I'm so happy that you introduced it to me, and I've messaged friends. Hey guys, you have to watch.
Right. So we'll put the link.
The what? The what? Like a lot of people didn't know about it.
Right.
What's your next season going to be on? It's going to be on the blue zones. The what?
Right.
So I really thank you for that.
Because I want us to live our best life for the next
30
years. Yes. 30 good years. Yes.
No, whatever good.
Yes.
But I really hope our listeners will be as excited as we are about this topic. I don't think of all the seasons that we've done so far that we've done as much research as we've done for this one, because it really taps into what we want to be doing
and what's happening to us now.
Absolutely. So I'm really excited about it. I know that our listeners are going to be excited about it as well, because it's almost like a fact-finding mission.
Of course.
What can we do and how can we create this blue zone for ourselves? Right here in Jamaica.
Or wherever
you are.
Right. So the topics that we're going to cover are movement, because it talks a lot about natural movement. Then diet and clean living.
Right.
Purpose and spirituality. And then finally, the big one that we're big on is community.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So
that's it for Blue Zones, our introduction, and we're going to get into it very quickly.
Yes. So stay tuned for our first episode, which is going to be talking about movement. Of job people. Goodbye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of What the 50. Please show your love and encouragement by sharing, subscribing, and leaving a review wherever you're listening.
And don't forget to like and follow us on Instagram. And please join our active Facebook group at What.the50.